Now, over on the north side of town, I'm going to wrap this podcast up with some Cubs talk because I've kept you here long enough and I appreciate you listening. The Cubs right now are the best team in baseball. Technically and in reality. I mean, honestly, they are filled with depth, right? And a lot of the things that have carried them throughout the season that I'm impressed with is the way their lineup attacks opposing pitchers. Now, it's methodical. This is something of Theo Epstein's mantra that he wanted to instill in their offense going back to when he started. Because you remember, the last, 3 or 4 years, the Cubs offense have always been at the bottom of the league in walks. They are always on the bottom of the league in pitches per plate appearance, and that changed drastically last year. And now this year, it's even better, especially with guys like Hayward and Zobrist added to the mix, and you see it. Anthony Rizzo is arguably the best first baseman in the National League. Him and Goldschmidt, those two guys are just phenomenal. Probably Goldschmidt ahead of him, but you can make an argument for Rizzo too. But Rizzo's plate discipline, his ability to drive in runs, this guy absolutely the power bat in the Cubs lineup. Consistently can drive in the run from third, second. I feel like every single time a runner's in scoring position, when he's up to bat, he makes either a productive out or he drives a run in. It's just never in between. This guy is always consistent, and he is the face of the Cubs for good reason, because he's always coming through. They dealt with some injuries so far, and it sucks, especially the loss of Kyle Schwarber. That's tough. But yeah, I've said it enough that their depth is good. But then they lost Miguel Montero to some back problems, and Miguel Montero is a very, very important piece to this roster. One, because he knows the pitching staff well. Behind the plate, he calls great games, good defensively, and he could bring it with the stick too. And I think that's important to mention because he has good relationships with pitchers, especially Arrieta and Lackey and Hendricks and Hamill. And Hamill, by the way, has the best ERA in baseball, 0.75, which is kind of funny to say. But that's April for you. That's baseball stats in April. But all right, let me just throw in some stuff that I'm very excited about with the Cubs, especially since they're with the 17-5 record, best overall record in baseball at the end of April. I think it is the best start in April since the 60s or 1908. I got to look that up again. I apologize. But it has been very, very good. So the Cubs entered May with a plus 79 run differential, which is number 1 in baseball. That means they're giving up 79 less runs than they scored. That offense is solid. That offense is killing it. They make, it has to do with their schedule too. They play bad teams like the Reds. They played the Brewers, the Braves, but they also went up against the Cardinals. They won 2 out of 3 in St. Louis, which is awesome. And they play the Diamondbacks. That's a contending team, a lot of people believe. So it's not like they're playing all bad teams. But yeah, what's impressing me with the Cubs is 1, they're winning, and 2, they're taking care of the teams that they need to take care of in the early part of this season. 17-5, guys. 17-5. One of the best starts the Cubs have ever had in franchise history. Their pitching staff is ranked 2nd in all of baseball in ERA, 1st in batting average against, and 1st in whip. Now, that also has to do with Jake Arrieta being absolutely dominant. But Jason Hamill, as he always does, but he kind of fizzles out as the year continues. But Jason Hamill's been great. Kyle Hendricks has been good. John Lackey got lit up a couple times, but he's just coming off one of his best starts. And John Lester, too. John Lester looks like a different pitcher. Last year, we saw inconsistencies in April and in June, also in August. So, good stuff all across the board. Their bullpen has been consistent. And their lineup is 2nd in MLB in runs scored and 5th in OPS. So, they're getting it done in the power category, and they're getting on base. Their pitches per plate appearance, my gosh. If you watch a Cubs game, you'll probably be there for 4.5 hours because they make that pitcher work. And that's something that, as I said, Theo Epstein wanted to make a point, and just absolutely doing it. And that's a recipe for success. So that was just a little quick Cubs talk. I know I spent a lot of time on the draft. I wanted to talk about the draft because it's finally over. Finally, I don't have to focus on it anymore. I could just wait until training camp and see other... Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, the Bears signed Brian Hoyer. Whatever. Brian Hoyer, 1-year deal. Backup. That's all he is. He's a backup, okay? Jay Cutler will be the Bears starter absolutely 100% unless he's injured, okay? So don't even start with me with that. Yeah, Brian Hoyer led them to the Texans to the playoffs, but I don't want to hear it. Collar's their guy. But okay, thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. I really do appreciate it. We talked Bears, draft, Cubs, White Sox, MLB today. Fun-filled show. I hope you enjoyed it. You should follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Most Valuable Pod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Most Valuable Podcast. Like Behind the Pen if you would. I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate you guys following me and listening to my sports takes. Thanks a lot for joining in, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.